Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on to what we got. Do, 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 do. Okay, 1 second. All right, it's time for Real Raw Recovery. I'm Joe Tilley from Newcastle, Ontario, the center of the universe.
I'm in Bangkok, and my name's Tyler.
Well, Tyler, I guess we can't all be in the center of the universe at the same time. It would throw the world off balance, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's open with a moment of silence and the Serenity We prayer. God, grant us a serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. Okay, so I think that we should. This is episode 21.
Yeah.
And in episode 20, we left off with you talking about your situation at the market.
Yeah.
And how you had run into a lousy situation with the people who ran the market. And do you want to fill us in what happened, what's going on, and where you're at?
You suggested that I do write it out in my resentment as an
inventory. Yeah, do a 5-column inventory on it. Yeah.
Yeah, and I took your suggestion and I wanted, so maybe you can. So there's two things there's a couple things I'd like to state. Number one,
yeah,
I wrote down 2 resentments revolving around the same issue, so it's not. I'm trying to get an extra one in on there, but I tried to really clarify them. 2, okay. Maybe you could take the lead with that and like kind of guide the listener, myself, through the columns, and I can answer them just so it's clear. Like, so there's like one person leading it and then one person answering. And then I definitely want your feedback, and then I would like to give you my synopsis on this specific resentment and this process.
Okay, so then I'll just talk about the resentment columns, right?
Yeah, so I'm going to get my book.
Okay.
In here.
Okay. Yeah, so my suggestion was that you just list the resentment and then do the columns on it and see where the best thing what happens to us is we see where we're at fault, which is really important.
Correct.
So so the first column is just the people, institutions, and principles that I am resentful at.
So I broke it down just to get really thorough. Sorry to interrupt. Go ahead.
Okay. No worries. Yeah. Go ahead. No, you go.
Okay.
Go. Yeah.
So just the resentments at the actual market, because I don't know who that is, and I don't know the owner, and it's a huge market in Bangkok, right?
Right.
And then the next one's the actual one of the staff members that was haunting my shop for the last, like, she's the gopher that would come relay messages or just take it upon herself. Who knows, right?
Right. But she was the messenger anyway.
She was the messenger, and then and I separated them because there's I have resentments against both. So they still a lot. There's going to be a lot of overlap, but I just wanted to clarify so there's 2 resentments. Okay.
So there's 2 resentments. So the column 1 is the people, institutions, and principles I'm resentful at.
Which is the institution.
Which would be the market, and then the messenger.
Right.
Column 2 is the cause. Why am I angry, and what goes into column 2 for these 2?
I'll answer that. And
column 3 then. Okay, you want to answer that right now? Okay.
Right. We should just go through it, right?
Yeah. Okay.
So
the cause.
I'm angry at them for running a shitty market.
Yeah.
No staff. It's expensive, and then they raise the rent, and it's dirty.
Okay. And what about the messenger? Why are you angry at that messenger?
You want to do that part now too?
Yeah, I think so. Why not?
Okay.
Okay. You're right. Let's go through each resentment one at a time. Yeah, sorry.
Okay.
So the market's dirty and
It's
they run a
overpriced.
crappy market, overpriced. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Now the column 3 is what part of self is affected or threatened, and what that includes is your social instinct, self-esteem, personal relationships, your security instinct, material and emotional, your sex instinct, acceptable sex relations, hidden sex relations, or ambitions, which is social, security, and sexual. So, which one of those resentments in column 3, what part of self is affected?
I would imagine typically they'd fall under a couple categories, and I would say,
yeah.
But what step?
Social, for sure.
Yeah, social. I had
self-esteem, personal relationships. Yeah.
I had that. I'm just bringing up my chart as well. Hang on.
Okay.
Yeah. So self-esteem, I would check that. Personal relationships, yes, it affected my relationship with my staff, and it caused turmoil. They would threaten my staff and things like that, and so then it would create turmoil between our relationship.
Mm-hmm.
Material, it really hurt my bottom line.
Yeah.
Emotional, it brought a lot of unease, and what did I have here? Yeah, sex instincts, no, but ambitions and socially insecurity. What happened was probably my most, because I really felt like it stalled my progress, because when I got into this market, I really thought it was going to change things. I thought it was going to be like a really great opportunity. So the whole time they haunted me, it really fucked up not only the bottom line, which again would be like number 2, but number 1 was my kind of like my social status personally, like where I thought it was really going to bump me up as far as being, so it kind of coincides with material, like and even emotional. Like I really thought it was going to save me in a few ways, right?
Right.
Okay. Mm-hmm. I have one here, but it's not on your list. It's just double checking. I have a category for like I was frightened, so we could put that underneath, perhaps. Emotional security.
Okay. Yeah. Frightened for sure. Yeah.
Yeah. So and then one of the deeper. I don't know if you should go to the next column. Because where do you have self-seeking on? I'm looking at your list. It's not the same.
Okay, so that's column 4. Column 4. Okay, column 4 is what is the exact nature of my wrongs and shortcomings. So then that in that list, we would put I have an actual list for that column 4 list. The defects of character I know must be removed. That is selfishness, dishonesty, self-seeking, inconsideration, resentment, fear, pride, anger, greed, lust, envy, gluttony, sloth, judgmental thinking, criticism, fault-finding, obsessing with gossip and others' shortcomings, impatience, suspicion, vulgar, immoral thought, language. So those are the column 4 character defects that I'm looking to have removed.
Right.
But that play a role in the way I look at other people's stuff. When I have a resentment and I'm looking at somebody in a judgmental fashion, right? And there's a whole bunch of stuff that's going on for me,
right,
that I'm not looking at. Like, am I being selfish here? Am I being dishonest here? Am I being self-seeking here? Am I being inconsiderate, resentment, fearful, right? All those things.
Right.
So that's what the exact nature of my wrongs and shortcomings in column 4. So where do you find yourself there? Where am I at fault? What is my part?
Well, if I wasn't selling counterfeit items off the gate, out of the gate,
Yeah.
I wouldn't have
Right.
had any of these issues.
Right.
There wouldn't be a problem. Okay, so that's
Right.
the
Okay.
biggest one.
Right. Sure.
And
That makes sense. Yeah.
but that's the just to give context though. If you're not a food vendor, 70% of the other shops are selling, not all, but a good percentage are also selling shit
It's counterfeit.
at a way like higher level than me.
Yeah.
And that's just an honest assessment. Like I'm not selling fake Gucci bags for $1,000 when they cost 30,000. No, like I'm selling artistically branded nonsense on lighters and silicone boxes, just for the thing. But however, just to keep it to, I just wanted to give context for the whole resentment. Okay, so I'm not trying to stick up because, as I said, my part is if I wasn't selling them, I wouldn't have had the problem in the first place. Right?
Okay. Good. Good. Yeah.
Self-seeking. Everyone at that market received a rent increase, not just me.
Yeah.
All the vendors. And inconsiderate, I would consider it would create bigotry in me and like hateful thinking and malicious retaliation or revenge thinking.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So it didn't, I wasn't, it didn't really affect them, but it was affecting me, and it was where I was at fault because it didn't, I didn't take it lightly.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Okay.
And then what should I have done? Do you want to move on to the next?
Yeah. So then the fifth column is what should I have done instead? Identify assets to strive for.
Now this actually almost creates a third resentment because I should have managed it better. I should have gone there with a translator or somebody and gone to the office.
Yeah.
Or I should have pushed the person I rent the booth from. I should have maybe gave them an ultimatum. I like it was so wishy-washy and up and down, but the problem is like there are ways for you to go about selling things there, but they weren't giving me the opportunity. They just were saying no. Because as I mentioned, other booths have no problem. Yes. They were targeting me for some reason.
Right.
I have a few theories why, but like regardless. And so and when I thought about that, like I should have attacked much earlier, or I should have played my cards differently. Then it made me feel resentful at myself.
Okay, gotcha. Yeah, that's good.
Right?
That's good. Yes, you had your stuff on that list. That's great.
So, and I think if you do any of these thoroughly, like a resentment such as this is my own 2 cents, that your number one resentment should be against yourself at all times. You're the one doing it to yourself. At all times, you're the fucking fool. You're the clown that everyone's laughing at, unfortunately.
Yeah.
And if you don't realize it, you're a fool.
But which is awesome because you go into it thinking that you're a bit of a victim and you've been screwed over.
No, but
when you're finished, but when you're finished the process, you look at it and go, well, man, I allowed myself to be put in this situation. I put myself in this situation, and it was me anyway.
But clearly stated last week.
Right.
Like it's easy for me to like, and that's why it's really important to almost gauge numerically like the values of like my part, their part, and like, and then determine how resentful am I really, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Like how big of a problem is this really?
Mm-hmm. Because let's go to the next resentment then and go through the columns for that too.
Okay. So the girl that worked at Ratcheta.
Yeah.
Okay, and the cause, she haunted my shop. She haunted only my shop about The fake shit is what I wrote down.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
It affected my relationships with my staff, which is similar to the first one. My pocketbook, my emotional, my emotions, I should say.
Mm-hmm.
I mentioned that it's the same resentment essentially at Ratchet, but I just felt like even more like direct resentment towards her than like an institution such as the market office. Like I've never even been in there. So
Right.
like, he was the face for the resentment, but
Mm-hmm.
I could clearly indicate that she perhaps might have had a personal vendetta, but I also know that if she didn't have a job, she wouldn't have been bothering me.
Right.
So, and I also had a lot of fear because being a foreigner here, I was really worried. Like if I just stormed in the office and told everyone to fuck off, like if I actually played like a different game, there's a lot of consequences for me. So I don't feel like I have a lot of options, like in order to not retaliate, but to defend myself or to make changes. I'm a bit of like, I shouldn't have a market there in the first place is another like kind of like I don't have a work permit to have a market vendor in Thailand, let alone Bangkok, let alone this market.
Right. Right.
So there's a lot of game playing, and that just really clearly indicates like my part right away. So I can't go in there and go, listen, I'm going to sell shit or I'm going to get the fuck out. Like I was desperate. So there's a lot of things, desperation. So that would affect my security. Like, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I was very frightened because of the consequences, like of getting discovered or them digging in deeper and wanting to talk with me and then shutting it down, especially prior to me shutting it down. Like I felt I was very fearful of them shutting me down. So that would affect my emotional and security. And then again, I would jump ahead to what's my exact nature of my shortcomings. I would say inconsiderate, same as before, like thinking much less, like thinking she's less than. And of course, if I didn't have fake goods to be selling, then I wouldn't have this problem.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
What should I have done instead? Perhaps bought her something, went to talk to her, brought one of the staff to say, who is she? Try to butter her up or try to do something. Instead, I always would leave it, or I would complain to the person I rented from, hoping that they would deal with it, and it never got dealt with.
Yeah. Okay. That's
Right.
good. And then the other resentment is against yourself. So tell us about that one. Tell me about that one.
Resentful of myself for not strategizing, for not
doing a half-ass, maybe. Like I mean,
perhaps like maybe it needed more, and I, because again I couldn't just storm in the office. I'll give myself that. It's not like being back in Toronto. Like, hey, you're treating me unfair, and I want an answer. And the newspaper is going to hear about this. I don't have that.
Yeah.
So I would have to do it a lot more strategically.
I'm calling the Better Business Bureau.
Yeah, right.
Bangkok.
Next thing you know, I'm going missing. Like I'm not joking. Like whoever owns that market cannot have anything. I told you that someone died at the market 2 months ago. They got electrocuted in a puddle.
Yeah, you mentioned that.
And nobody knew except a few people that were there after hours. Most of the vendors didn't know. The city didn't know. Like nobody knew. It never made it. It never because the Chinese people are very superstitious. And if they found out there's a ghost floating around that market, it would affect bottom line.
Everybody's sales, yeah.
I'm not sure. Like it's that ridiculous.
Yeah.
So the poor sap who died just vanished.
Yeah. Okay.
Meaning that if I complain to some organization and say, hey, they bumped up all the vendors' booths. So whoever owns this place is just wringing the shit out of these people. Like these people that sell like shit. Like it's gross, man. It's gross.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so I just felt like, Tyler, you should do something about it. And I just didn't. And then to kind of turn it, what should I have done? I should close down my shop and be done with this. And I did that.
Yeah.
And I immediately, within 2 days, opened a new shop.
Mm-hmm.
So instead of just like, I took all the energy that was encapsulated in this whole situation, in this resentment. The resentment itself, if I was being honest, it might have seemed, because it was really on the day that I was talking to you that I decided to shut down my shop. So, a resentment of like perhaps 1 or 2 on a scale of 10. But there was enough energy where I pulled the trigger to close the shop. And then I used that momentum for like a combination of desperation, excitement, and momentum to pull the trigger on opening a new shop. So I was presented with the opportunity to open a new shop at a different market, one that I'm already at. So I would have now multiple stalls at this one market, all surrounding art. So not counterfeit lighters, different market. And so it's not the same kind of racket, but and I pulled the trigger, and then I put all my energy and some of it sparked from this into that. And I think that's the key to all of this. Just to end, and what should I have done instead? What did you do instead is my
right.
What did you do? Not, what should have I done? I should have done this, and then I should have done that, and then I would have done this. You're just a talking fucking waste of time.
No, that's good. That's great. That because it's following through on your on what you should have did, like the column 5 follow up. Like it's action, right?
Immediate action, because otherwise you lose momentum, you lose energy, and you're not using like quote unquote a resentment for anything beneficial other than to complain to somebody else about it.
So that's good. That's good. I like that, because I want to call it column 6, right?
Yeah. What did you do?
Column 6 is what did you do? The action. Then that's great.
Because I'll be honest, so this process, even if I eased it down and I'm still not happy with the market nor the individual, and I don't wish them all the best. I don't really have time. I don't have time for extensive thorough breakdown of that, but I'm also gonna let it go. I'm not going to harness or hold on to. I don't want to spin my wheels anymore, and I don't want to put any more energy around it. But at the same time, what's a clear distinction, which might be different from you and me, is it's not all good. It's not just it's all good now. I saw my part in it, and I would do things differently, and that's that. It's no, I still think they're not running the best operation, and I still think that they targeted me for no reason. And I wish I would have done things differently. And maybe I don't really want to sell counterfeit items. I don't know. I'll have to think about that.
Sure.
Right. So it's kind of it's not about getting to a hunky-dory spot. It's about using that energy and figuring out what's a new channel for me to put all that energy into. And utilizing that, utilizing the, not quite anger, but just the energy that's encapsulated in that, all the energy that's surrounding it. Okay, this was, not only did it explode on me, it also was a fucking nightmare. So let me get out of there and put all that energy from that into something else.
Which is what happened, right?
Yeah, which is such a brilliant twist.
So it's really a good thing, isn't it?
It's a great thing.
Mm-hmm. No, the other thing, if you follow through on the next steps, right, 6, 7, 8, 9, is there any amends to be made with these people or yourself?
myself is to put all the energy in. So like there's not really a lot of time. I think the amends will is that I'll leave it status quo. Like I'm not going to speak ill, go out of my way to speak ill or speak negatively to
About
the other vendors at that market.
right.
Because I had ideas of like maybe spreading some rumors somehow, maybe through social media and things like that. So I'm not going to go ahead and do any of that. I don't have time or the energy for that. And other than that, like I'll go there and buy things from time to time still. It's not like I'm going to avoid it.
What about the woman who
I've never met her.
gave you a hard time? You never met her. She was only there when you weren't there.
Right.
Oh. Okay. So, is there something there though?
In what sense?
In terms of amends to her or the market, other than not spreading bad shit about them?
No, like I said, I'll go. I won't abstain from going to that market. So there'll be. I will, from time to time, purchase things or meet people there or eat there and things like that.
Okay.
I think it's a wash. Like I have to, if I analyze this objectively, especially at the moment, if down the line I go there like, hey, this is a great market, I should post on their Facebook and say, what a wonderful market you have. All the best. Like if that's what you're imagining would happen, I think we can. I'm okay with not doing it.
Yeah. I no, I wouldn't suggest that. The only thing that I would even, the thing that I would suggest is that the whoever the woman was who affected you directly, maybe somehow, but it's weird because she never had a conversation with you. She only talked to people that worked for you.
Never seen her face.
Yeah. So that's weird. Yeah. So anyway, I guess you just think about that if there's anything there. Maybe there's nothing there.
But like, what's your intention for?
Well, I mean, only because I'm saying like I know that I have to make amends for everything that I've done wrong, and it's weird because you have this resentment against the person you've never even seen. So now you work through the resentment, find out your role in it is that what you've done, and so when you realize what you've done, that's normally how you make an amends. Is that I apologize and make amends for what I've done. But in this case,
no, but hear me out. Hear me out.
Yeah, okay.
So, tomorrow, I'm going to meet a guy at Ratchet to conduct business at one of the bar/restaurants across from my stall that's still open till the end of the month, right?
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I'm going to continue to be a patron there, which then supplies the vendors with income. The vendor then pays the rent for their stall, which then pays her salary.
Right.
So that's the probably best amends she'll ever get.
Right.
Like
okay. I'm not trying to tell you what to do here. I'm just trying to make sure that I think what I'm asking or suggesting is that you look at you've already looked at what your role in it was. Is there necessary amends to make there? That's all.
Right, but but what I'm saying is like, for example, the guy tomorrow, like, hey, I'm not going to meet you at Ratchet. I hate that place. It fucked me.
Yeah.
It's like, no, I'll meet you there, no problem. Like, there's no, like, it's clear. It's clear, and not only that.
Well, that's one of the reasons that we make the amends is so that we can walk around a free person and not have to worry about running into specific people that we've hurt or that we believe have hurt us or anything like that. So you don't have any animosity, right? Like you're just walking around a free person with the no worries about ever having to see an individual. You're free. And if you feel like you're free, then you're free, right? And it sounds like maybe you've come to that place. Okay, that's good. Good. So, what do you think about the process and everything else, and where you're at now? Are you glad you did that?
No,
No.
no.
Okay. All right.
Because
You
because
think you
no,
think
but
you would have got there anyway, or what? What?
well, yeah. There's two things. There's one. I'm being honest. The level of that resentment, I feel like in your favor, doesn't qualify for a groundbreaking kind of revelation.
Right.
I'm being honest. You caught me on the day that I had to pull the trigger. I'm out. I'm done with the shop.
Yeah.
So there was a lot of like,
But it sounded like you hadn't 100% made that decision yet, though. To be honest, at the time, I think it sounded like you were getting there, and yet that was kind of the direction you were leaning.
yeah.
And maybe I'm just thinking that maybe this whole process might have helped you come to the conclusion you came to, right?
Well, okay,
And
I really felt like, again, in your, like, just to kind of like, because I do believe in this process. I'm just telling you specifically for this resentment.
yeah,
I immediately could see I'm selling fake shit. Like if you want to call like,
sure,
it's really easy for me to call my sign. That's
yeah.
not like it, and that's one of my. I'm sure.
But I think the whole analysis, that like you figuring out how you were affected, how it affects you emotionally, materially, socially, all that stuff, coming to the realization that you did a lot of what you could do, but there's more you could have done. Coming to that realization. So at the end of the day, when you're finished, you come to the realization that, you know what, it's all me. It's not them, it's me. They're operating the business the way they're operating the business, and I try to cut corners here and there. There's things I could have done that would have made things different. But at the end of the day, I'm selling shit that was counterfeit. I didn't like doing it. I've taken my energy, I've taken it somewhere else, which is better. And I just think that the whole process was it can't help be aided by the fact that you've done this analysis, I think.
The only realization I really had was I recalled how much excitement and hope I had when I opened the shop.
Right.
That came back, and I felt sad and hurt by that, and
Yeah.
let down. Like I remember, like, whether it was 7 or 8 months ago, I'm guessing. Like I thought this was a game changing move and opportunity.
Mm-hmm.
And then for the last 8 months to just be shit and like nightmare after nightmare and like staffing problems and a bunch of other things other than this, right?
But that's all based on your expectations, right?
Well, fuck yeah, sure. Like you'd be a fool not to, though. Like this market, this market is like, I don't know, like 50,000 people a day.
Yeah.
Like it's absurd. It's absurd. Maybe that number is exaggerated, but I'm like, I'm not. It's so busy. Like and so it was just again realization that I don't. Not only perhaps my expectations are wrong, but I just sometimes I guess like like where I don't know how, like if I went back 4 months ago, could I have done different? Like I don't know, because like to lose, even leaving the shop and then giving myself the story like, okay, I'm going to put all the energy in another shop. It's still like, I can't believe I left this market empty-handed. Is such a like, in one way, a crushing blow, and then another way, well, okay, just use that energy into something else. It's just, it's tragic. It's a tragedy, really, because this market, like in theory, you could make $3,000 or $4,000 from this market a month, and I didn't. And you talk about my expectations. I wasn't expecting that, but I was expecting it to grow and like to blossom and to kind of do anything other than pack it up after 8 months after getting fucking washed over.
Right. So that I know, but that's what I'm saying. Anytime we have expectations,
That's not an
like,
expectation, Dad. There's a
well,
big difference.
yeah, well, it is. Okay, what's the difference between that and an expectation?
You talk about you're Mr. Optimism. When you start a business, you're planning for growth and for opportunities and for income, obviously, when you're dealing with business and projections. It's a big difference between I expect to be a millionaire after there's a big difference.
Yes, but it's all, but expectations, like, it's a difference between having plans and having expectations. Plans are like, I put a plan together. If this plan works out, a few of these, situations may not happen, right? But this is what I plan to do, and then I see how things unfold. And so if you just look at it like a basis on plans, I'm planning this is the strategy I have.
Right, it's a series of plans.
Let's just see how this unfolds, rather than, oh my God, I'm going to be making so much money and doing this and that. You can't have that, because if you have that, then it's going to lead to an expectation, which an expectation is going to lead to resentment.
No, but okay. So the difference is, like, even if I took the statement you made, like, I'm going to make so much money, like, how am I going to make so much money? How?
Mm-hmm.
It's not just I'm going to make so much money. How am I going to make so much money? Then you make a series of plans and strategies and change things up and find different staff that has different qualities and things like that, and move things around and try different products. And it's like a merry-go-round, and it's a bunch of different, like, navigating and it wasn't just I'm going to make a bunch of money from this market. It was that all my plans and strategies fail, and that's a hard.
Well, that's hard for the ego, right? That's hard for the ego.
It's sad.
Yeah, it's yeah, and I can see that it would be hard. It would be sad, because you had, it had great potential, and it went for naught.
Correct.
So that is sad. I can see how that's sad.
But it just didn't stem from an expectation, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
It stemmed from, like, a series of failures, and I guess in one sense, of no one to hold them. Because when I knew when to fold, I folded. I felt with dignity, strength, and it was like they even asked me to stay one more month, and that the vendor was going to help me sort out the branding, like sort out to be able to sell shit.
Right.
By that time, I've already made the deal with the new shop. And not only that, they should have helped me 6 months ago when I complained about this issue.
Right.
So it was just a nice feeling to go, fuck off.
Mm-hmm.
Get out of here. Like, nice try. I got fucked for the last 8 months, and you didn't do a goddamn thing about it. And now you want me to stay and you're going to sort it out? Like, give me a break.
Yeah.
And so it was nice to kind of be able to have that, like, no, I know I'm on the right track.
Yeah. I mean, because, if you look at it, like, if you, I think it's like this. If I have integrity in everything I do, in the short term, sometimes things don't work out. But in the long time, if I continue to act with integrity, when I continue to put integrity in everything I do, ultimately everything, I think, works out in an amazing fashion. Right? Like, there may be short-term setbacks as you go along the way, but it's kind of like the sports podcast we have, right? It's been a slow growth, but things are starting to go pretty good, right?
Mm-hmm.
And we're getting a pretty good following, and sponsors are more and more interested and things like that. So they're starting to come to us. Like, I'm getting calls for people wanting to sponsor. And that's nice because it's because chasing after sponsors has never been something I've done. Like the sales part of it
Right.
was never my forte, because I never did that. Like for many years working in the television business, I just did my broadcast and that's it.
Right.
And where the sales department did their job. So now I'm working from coming from a different place and having to sell was a something I hadn't done before, but now it's becoming easy.
But like,
so
I know. So
yeah.
it's like that was the same kind of the slow burn and building momentum. You don't, I would, that's not an expectation, but in a sense it is. Because like you're expecting things to go better, obviously, and grow.
Mm-hmm.
And so if all of a sudden your partner threw out some racist rants and shut the whole thing down, and then you were castrated, like you can start looking for like for reasons why that happened for a reason, and then this led to that, and blah, blah. But it's just like, yeah, I feel like it's important to be clear about, yes, like where did I expect, but also like it was a lot of it wasn't just expectations that was what made it sad. And I've learned that some things are just not necessarily bad, but just didn't work out. And
I'm just thinking about the made it sad part because I'm thinking if you look at this, if you're able, like, time is a great healer anyway, but and time has a way of making things work out. I think if you look at the end of the day, like say 6 months or a year from now, and you look back at where you're at, with different things that you've been doing, and you'll see that there's been like a lot of success in a lot of different areas.
Right.
You'll look back at this and go, thank God I'm not there doing this shitty stuff and dealing with the shitty people and doing selling counterfeit stuff with shitty people around. You'll be happy. I mean, right?
You're expecting that. That's an expectation.
But don't you think that that's probably going to happen? I mean, don't you think
you're
yeah, but don't you think that, like, when you look at your life, right? When you let time heal and you look back at your life, you realize that everything worked out. That's what I'm saying. It does, right?
I don't know.
Sure, there are difficult times for sure. I mean, you run into stressful situations and difficult times along the way, but at the end of the day, when you spend a lot of time worrying about stuff that worked out anyway.
Right. It's not worry. It's just like, but I don't like when you say, oh, like hopefully, like in 8 months when you're doing really well, it's like, whoa, hold your horses.
Well, I think goes without saying myself, to be honest with you. If you work with integrity and you work, the key word being the work, then you work with integrity, good things happen. I just believe that, I think the people that don't have success that way, I mean, maybe I'm being a little like oversimplifying it, but I believe that, most places in this world, when we do some work and we work with integrity, good things happen. It's when we try to take those shortcuts, and when we try to make it, when we try to make it take the easier, softer way instead of doing the right way, things have a way of screwing up.
I think you get what you get.
Yeah. You get what you get.
You get what you get. Because like I'm sure you could talk to a bunch of people and it's like done all the right moves and did all the right things, and I live in a fucking tin can.
Well, I don't think so. I honestly think that you get. I think people do make all the right moves, do all the right things, and they have a happiness and a freedom that they're comfortable with. And whether and you know the material stuff is one thing, but you know really the most important part is to be comfortable in your own skin. Do you not agree? I mean, who cares how much money you got if you got to compromise your principles to get it.
Right.
So
I know, but
mean, to me,
what I balance out is that like there's a few factors. I believe in intellect, and I do believe in like making things harder for yourself than they need to be. And then I do believe in what you're saying too about one of the most important things is being comfortable in your own skin. Mm-hmm. I don't know where I'd rank it, but it's one of the most important things.
Yeah, I don't know. It might be number one for me.
Right.
It might be number one.
Yeah, I'm not saying it's not. I just haven't thought of like. I just feel like wouldn't it be nice to be comfortable in your own skin and have money in the bank?
Yeah.
Right. So I think so. Therefore, it's like
for sure. I think that who's going to disagree with that one, right?
I know, but then there's going to be sacrifice and movements and decisions and things like. I really also think comfortable in your own skin means going to bed at night and getting a good rest, like being able to have a good sleep.
Yes.
Determined,
But isn't that helped by being comfortable in your own skin? When your head hits a pillow, you don't have a bunch of shit going through your head.
Right.
Yeah, right. So it's easy to sleep.
And I think for some people, some of the things that I would do you wouldn't be comfortable with, and some of the things that you might do, I might not be comfortable with.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So I think that we all have to come to our own definition of what we have our own set of principles, our own definition of what's passable, what's not. And I think we all know. I think if I'm doing something that's not doesn't pass my own personal smell test, I know it.
Right.
And if it is passing the smell test, then I know it. So the key is to find that place where I'm living and working within that place of integrity. I'm comfortable with what I'm doing, and I'm good.
And sometimes, like, I just caught myself, like, not so much about the ranking and saying, oh, it's number one or anything, but like, I think depending on who I'm having the conversation, like, I would immediately normally, like, I immediately kind of can validate that statement, being comfortable in your own skin, if not number one at the top. I can't think of another one that would be.
Right.
What I like doing with you, and said it a million times, is just like, I don't immediately just want to go, yeah, you're right. I like to sit with that. I think about what you just said. Is that true? Does that have validity? Is that something you just heard off the TV and are saying it again, or heard in a meeting? Is it like, do they really hold weight? And
you might come back. You might come back next week and say, "No, it's not. This is what is."
Right, but I also
this is what I came. I can't after give it some thought. Here's what I came to the realization. This is what I believe now, not that. So I know that's good though. That's great. I think what you like to do is you like to challenge challenge the norm or challenge anything, like, they what was it, a couple weeks ago you called the podcast "Don't Question Anything."
Right.
Right, whereas I think you like to question everything, right?
Yeah, but
Which
for
is
the
good.
point,
I think that's good.
because I do like to poke holes in things. So it's not just
Yeah.
questioning the things to be a contrarian, like to go, oh, well, you like apples, I like oranges. It's
Right.
not like that, because to be honest, the majority of the stuff we're on the same page. There's just like
Right.
this small percentage, sometimes maybe depending on the day or depending on the issue. I just feel like, wait a minute, that does not sound thought out. It doesn't sound like it's really cohesive and coherent, and it doesn't sound like it's valuable to state nor to believe. And
It doesn't resonate as truthful, right? Yeah.
right, or it just doesn't resonate as valuable. Like
Right. Okay.
I don't want to. It doesn't have any value, and yet it's stated as if it did. And when I personally, not even like, it's actually nothing to really, in a funny way, it's to do with you, but in a way, it's like because there's oftentimes where I go, no, you're right. Like, being comfortable in your own skin, I can't really think of something more valuable than that. I have no problem saying that after I kind of question it. But when I find out, wait a minute, there's 10 things much more valuable, I get a lot of satisfaction out of that.
Right.
I get a lot of satisfaction going, wait a minute. I'm happy you questioned that, because after doing some musing and after thinking it over and going through my own experiences and my own, going through my own thought process, I realized, wait, I don't believe in that. And I don't believe that has value. And I would like to call, in this case, you out on it, because I feel like it's something that we've been kind of like,
maybe just accept it without really delving into the truth.
Right.
Okay. Yeah. No, that's great. And I can see that. That's great. I like it.
I think what I just said there is really important, because it might, again, I'm not just saying, oh, you like apples, I like oranges. I'm not doing that. The next,
I know.
I'm also
that's
not.
clear.
I'm not challenging it. Me and you are happening to be having the conversation. So it may come across like you're my father, I'm challenging you on this. But we're having conversations that, like, and with some people, I go a little harder in the paint, or I go from a different angle, because either I have less stake in the game, or I have more stake in the game, depending on the conversation. And so, like, it's to do with you, but it's not. But so it's kind of like, and again, and then so I said, what's my motive for perhaps questioning a great statement like, yeah, you want to be comfortable in your skin is probably the most important thing. Why would I question that? Because often what happens is I realize that I either end up agreeing with it, or if I disagree, that disagreement, then I find satisfaction in going, like, now I really want to rip that apart and poke holes in it and see where that doesn't seem valuable. And I would like to express that. Like, I get a lot of satisfaction in that.
Well, and plus, maybe I'll learn something by delving into that a little bit deeper. Maybe I'll come away learning something about myself or the world, and that can be valuable. Growth is good.
Yeah.
Change is good. Change is good. Yeah.
So any other feedback from going through that?
No. The only thing I would think about is who and again, I've already mentioned it. Like, who knows? Like, something may come up where you may find that there's an amends you need to make, but maybe not. And maybe the amends would be to yourself, and the amends would be because ultimately, you've come to the realization that it's me. It's always me. If I have a problem with somebody else, it's not them, it's me. So when you come to that conclusion, that realization, so what if anything, do I need to do to either help myself, be kind to myself, change myself, anything like that? So if there's anything comes up with that, let's share that next time.
All right.
Okay, so you ready to wrap it?
Yep.
Okay. God, grant us the serenity to accept the things we cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and wisdom to know the difference. Hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on, hang on to what we got. Do, 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 do. Okay, 1 second.